Welcome back! In our last chapter, we talked about yin and yang being the two wings of life, and how crucial balance is. Today, we're going even deeper into a central rule of traditional Chinese medicine. Yin is the root, and yang is the function. Think of it this way. One provides, the other performs. Yin stores and supports, while yang moves and activates. One is the wax of the candle, the other is the flame. So, what does that really mean? Let's break it down. In a single sentence, yin is the material foundation, while yang is the working force that uses that foundation. There's a classical line that sums this up perfectly. Yin wei ti, yang wei yang. In plain English, if yin supplies the fuel and the structure, yang is the engine that turns that fuel into action. Imagine a reservoir full of water.
That's your yin.
Now picture a turbine spinning, generating power from that water. That's your yang. You need both for the system to work. Let's make this idea stick with some everyday analogies. Think of your house and its heater. The house itself, the walls, the insulation, the furniture. That's all yin. It's the physical structure. The heater and the electricity that keeps the house warm and runs your appliances. That's yang, the active function. Now, if your house is falling apart, with broken windows and no insulation, meaning your yin is deficient heat, doesn't matter how powerful your heater is. The heat will just leak out, and you won't be comfortable. On the flip side, if your heater is broken, your yang is deficient, the house will be cold and lifeless, even if it's perfectly built. Here's another one. Your smartphone. The battery capacity is your yin, it's the stored energy potential. The processor that runs all your apps and performs tasks is your yang. A phone with a super fast processor but a tiny battery will die in an hour. It has strong yang but weak yin. A phone with a massive battery but a weak, slow processor will last for days, but you won't be able to do much with it. It has strong yin, but weak yang. For a smooth experience, both the battery and the processor need to be well matched. One last analogy from nature. Think of soil and a plant. The yin is the soil's nutrients and the water it holds. The yang is the sunlight and warmth that makes the plant actually grow. Without rich, moist soil, all the sunlight in the world can't create a healthy, thriving plant. And without sunlight, all those nutrients in the soil just sit there, unused. They can't be converted into growth. So how does this translate to our body? In medicine, yin represents the tangible substances, your blood, body fluids, the tissues of your organs, and even your bone marrow. It's your body's structural reserve. Yang, on the other hand, is the function. Your metabolism, your immune response, your body warmth, your ability to move, and your neural activity. For example, your kidneys are said to hold your essence, a core yin substance that provides the foundation for growth, reproduction, and aging. This kidney yin supports kidney yang, which is the functional energy of the kidneys. Similarly, heart yin, the blood and fluids, nourishes heart yang, which is the actual activity of the heart, like its beat and the circulation of blood.
Now, what happens when this balance is off?
If your yin is insufficient, you don't have enough material substance to support your bodily functions. Your yang can then appear excessive because it's unanchored, like a fire with no fuel to burn steadily. This creates what's called false heat. Symptoms include night sweats, a dry throat, irritability, hot flashes, and trouble sleeping. Conversely, if your yang is insufficient, you don't have enough functional warmth and activity. Even if you have the physical substance, symptoms here are things like cold hands and feet, low appetite, fatigue, and a pale complexion. Let's look at how yin supports yang in our daily lives. Take sleep and performance. Sleep is a yin activity. It's when your body replenishes its yin reserves, repairing muscles, rebalancing hormones, and restoring fluids. Your daytime activity, your performance at work or at the gym, That's all yang? It depends entirely on the replenishment you got during sleep.
If you chronically cut back on sleep, you're draining your yin.
Soon, your daytime performance sheer yang crashes. You might feel wired, but exhausted. That's your yang in overdrive with very little yin to support it. Food and metabolism is another great example. The nutrients and blood you get from food are yin. Your digestive fire, which transforms those nutrients into usable energy, is yang. If you eat plenty of good food but have poor digestion week, yang, those nutrients aren't properly transformed. You just feel heavy, bloated, and tired. On the other hand, if you burn a ton of calories without eating enough to replenish your reserves, depleting your yin, you become thin, restless, and weak. Even exercise fits this model perfectly. Moderate exercise strengthens your yang, while also stimulating the circulation of blood and fluids, which nourishes your yin. But excessive, high-intensity exercise burns through your yin, reserves your body fluids and hormones. Over time, you might feel hot, have insomnia, and even lose muscle tone. This is a classic state of yin deficiency, even if you look incredibly fit on the outside. Let's ground this with a couple of real-life stories. Imagine a nurse who has been working the night shift for years. She eats at irregular times, relies on coffee to stay awake, and her daytime sleep is never truly restful. At first, she's energetic, running on pure yang. But after a while, she starts developing hot flashes at night, a constant dry mouth, and heart palpitations. From a TCM perspective, working through the night chronically drains her yin time for rest and fluid replenishment. Her yang is forced to fire constantly without a base to rest on, creating that false heat. Treatment would focus on nourishing her yin with rest, moistening foods, and calming herbs, while also helping to stabilize her overactive yang. Or consider the classic weekend warrior. This is someone who works a sedentary office job all week, which can lead to stagnation and weak yang function. Then, on the weekend, they go all out with extremely intense workouts. Afterwards, instead of feeling energized, they feel completely exhausted, have trouble sleeping, and might even have joint pain. Their sedentary life weakens their yang's regular function. Then, the sudden, extreme use of yang consumes and damages their yin reserves. A much better approach would be balanced, moderate movement every day, rather than these wild swings between extremes. So, the key takeaway is that yin and yang are inseparable partners. Yin is the quiet, foundational substance, the fuel in the tank, the battery in your phone. Yang is the dynamic, functional energy, the engine that burns the fuel, the processor that uses the battery. You can't have one without the other. Nurturing your yin through rest, proper nutrition, and hydration is just as important as strengthening your yang through activity and movement. Finding that beautiful, dynamic balance is the true path to lasting health and vitality.
Meet the executive.
He's a powerhouse, fueled by caffeine, late nights, and an unyielding drive. For months, he's a productivity machine, closing deals, leading teams, hitting every target. He seems unstoppable. Then, one day, he hits a wall. A wall so hard it leaves him in a state of complete collapse. Shibia fatiga, a heavy blanket of depression and a body that refuses to cooperate. From the outside, it might look like burnout or depression, but in the language of yin and yang, this is a classic case of what happens when you force yang for too long. He's been burning his candle at both ends, and now the wax, the very substance of the candle, the yin is gone. The collapse isn't just mental. It often comes with physical signs of this depletion. A constant feeling of dryness, a low-grade heat that bothers him at night, maybe even night sweats. To recover, he can't just push through. He needs to rebuild his foundation. This means deeply restorative sleep, nutrient-dense food, and gently, slowly, rebuilding his energy, not forcing it. So, how can you tell if your own yin and yang are out of balance? Let's look at some clinical signs. Think of yin deficiency as the root problem, A lack of substance. You might notice a dry mouth and dry eyes, no matter how much water you drink. You could experience night sweats or a subtle, feverish feeling at night. People with yin deficiency are often thin, and if they cough, there's very little phlegm. A look at their tongue might show that it's red with a very thin, almost non-existent coating. Their pulse tends to feel rapid and thin, like a tense guitar string. Now, let's look at yang deficiency. This is more of a functional failure, a lack of warmth and energy. Key signs include cold hands and feet, and a pale complexion. You might experience water retention or edema, and your digestion might be sluggish, leading to loose stools. You might find your voice is weak, your appetite is low, and you have a hard time getting warm, even with layers.
A yang-deficient tongue is often pale and swollen, and the pulse feels slow or weak.
Here's a crucial point. Sometimes, yang can seem excessive, with symptoms like hot flashes or irritability, but it's actually because the yin is too weak to anchor it down. It's like a hot air balloon with its tethers cut. If you only try to treat the heat without nourishing the yin, you'll never solve the problem. So, how do we apply this to our daily lives? Let's talk about practical ways to nourish your yin and support your yang. To nourish yin, which is our root, our substance, the number one thing is sleep. Aim for a regular sleep schedule, getting to bed early, and allowing your body to truly rest and repair. Your diet is also key. Think of moistening, nourishing foods. Things like rice porridge or congee pears, tofu, and dark leafy greens are excellent. Black sesame seeds, walnuts, and bone broth are also fantastic for rebuilding substance. When it comes to drinks, stick to warm water and gentle moistening herbal teas like lily bulb or jujube dates. And in your lifestyle, reduce that late-night screen time. The blue light is incredibly depleting. Instead, cultivate calming habits like reading a book, taking a slow evening walk, or practicing restorative exercises like qigong or gentle yoga. Next, supporting yang, our function and activity. Start your day with gentle morning movement. Getting some sunlight on your skin, doing a few stretches, or going for a short walk helps to awaken your body's yang energy. Eat warm foods, especially in colder seasons. If you tend to feel cold, avoid an excess of raw cold foods like salads and smoothies. Moderate strength training is great for building yang, but be careful not to overdo it and fall into chronic over. And here's a simple but powerful tip. Keep your feet warm. It helps to ground your yang energy. You can also use warming spices like ginger and cinnamon to help stimulate digestion. But use them cautiously if you have signs of yin deficiency heat, as they can make it worse. Let's look at a couple of examples to bring it all together. If you're someone who gets hot and restless at night, a sign of yin deficient heat, you need to focus on nourishing fluids and eating cooling, moist foods. Cut back on stimulants like coffee and avoid spicy meals, especially late at night. On the other hand, if you're always cold, tired, and sluggish, a sign of yang deficiency, you'll benefit from adding those warm spices to your food, wearing layers, incorporating moderate movement into your day, and perhaps avoiding that raw salad in the middle of winter. So, when you're feeling off, what should you do first? The most important principle is to identify the root of the problem. Is it a lack of yin or a failure of yang? Remember, if you have heat symptoms but also signs of depletion like dryness and night sweats, you must prioritize restoring your yin first. And this restoration is a slow, gradual process. It's not a quick fix. It's about consistently choosing nourishing foods, prioritizing sleep, and engaging in low-impact restorative practices. While you're rebuilding your yin, you have to be smart about how you use your yang. Don't keep forcing it with stimulants or intense workouts when your foundation is weak. Gentle stimulation, like a short walk in the sun or a warm cup of ginger tea, is far more effective. Ultimately, this is about restructuring your lifestyle with small, consistent changes. A regular sleep schedule, balanced meals, daily moderate movement, and managing your stress. let's do a quick recap of the key takeaways. Yin is the substance, the fuel. Yang is the action, the fire. They need each other to function. You cannot fix the action without rebuilding the foundation. If your yin is weak, just trying to boost your yang will eventually fail. Modern life, with its late nights, constant stress, and overstimulation, is incredibly damaging to our yin. But we can rebuild it with simple, consistent habits: sleep, moistening and nourishing foods, and calming practices. A healthy yin provides the base for a healthy yang, which is best supported by gentle movement, sunlight, and moderate activity, not by forceful, unsustainable effort.
Remember, health is not a single action.
It's a relationship, the relationship between what supports us and what moves us. Nourish the root, respect the function, and your life will have the balance it needs. In the next chapter, we will look closely at yang quet. It does, how it rises and falls across our life, and why protecting it is protecting your life. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for the next part of our journey.